All right, I am here with head coach Brian Smith. Coach, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing, James?
Not too bad. Trying to stay dry with all this rain here, but
Yeah,
right,
we got a few leaks in the Hearn Center.
I
The
believe that.
old building's hanging in there.
Yeah. Um, so I just kind of wanted to talk about jump into starting with briefly talking about last season before we get into this season. I know last year the ending was not exactly to plan with some of the injuries and things like that. Um, Coming off a season like that where you have so many guys dealing with pretty banged up and recovering, what does that off season look like?
It started in the spring and guys training hard, lifting hard, getting healthy. We had a lot of sickness, but also a lot of injuries. So it's just trying to get them healthy. That's my trainer and my doctor. We had a few surgeries and things like that, but it's more as a staff, we get together and we look at it and say, what can we do differently? And we did change up our practice plans and the way we do it and the times of it. And hopefully those little things make a difference. But, you can't just go into a season worrying about all that stuff. It's part of the sport. You can only control what you can control. And I think we do a good job with it. Um, but, looking back on the season, I would say we were at probably early January, we were in good shape and things were rolling. And then the injuries and the sickness did affect us, losing Geoffrey to a rib injury, losing Cade he basically only wrestled for a month. He was out, right before Okie State came in and didn't come back to Big 12s. It just, losing those two, Rocky was banged up all season. And then the sickness came in. We lost two or three other starters. It was just towards the end of the year, it was like, all right, who do we have? Who are we going to wrestle in this duel? So it was frustrating, but then you can look back and say, how do you respond to it? How are you going to respond to this adversity? And I thought the opportunities that, like a Jay Conway getting to get in the lineup, who's projected to be our starter this year at 57, getting the opportunity to wrestle in some big duels and compete and seeing where he's at, that you can, that's how you have to respond, that it's opportunities for other guys to get in the lineup. The outcomes didn't turn out like we wanted, but you're going to grow from it. And, at the NCAAs, we lost some really tough heartbreakers, a semifinal match and a couple of All-American rounds, but we got to get better. We have to get better. There's just no doubt about it. We should have had, we had an opportunity to have five or six All-Americans and didn't. And so we've got to get better.
And so one thing I wanted to ask was, you talked about Cade Moore and Logan Joffrey and some of the sickness. A lot of that, coming into March, everyone says no one's healthy, no one's 100%. But some of
Yeah.
those injuries were a little more severe, a little more unique than what
Yeah.
you typically see. Uh, Not necessarily like ranking it, but compare it to other seasons with challenges and things like that. Where was this on unique and different for you?
Yeah, probably never had a season like that with that many injuries and that much sickness. Like, to the point, it was upper respiratory too. So it's not just they have a cold. There were guys that were struggling and, then trying to get back into shape after being out of the room for a couple of weeks. It took them a couple of weeks just to get back in. And it showed at nationals. We just didn't have that pop. And there's not much, you can only control. So it was, if we can get them bike workouts, we can get whatever we can out of them and get them ready. I mean, Geoffrey wrestled with a broken rib and found a way to qualify, and then just had, some tough matches at the nationals, but was just in severe pain the whole time. But it was his choice. I left it up to him. I'm like, do you want to do this? And he's like, yes, I'm doing it. Just seeing him qualify for the NCAAs and getting the spot was amazing. But, you know, that's kind of the mindset of the program. We're going to find ways, and we've got to do a better job of it.
So moving into this season, returning seven starters, and I believe three seniors with Noah Sturton, Keegan, and Rocky.
Yeah.
What are your kind of expectations for those three guys going into their final year?
I mean, Noah's been there 4 times, so he's had experience. He's been the guy. He's been ranked really high. He's just not had a good national tournament. So I the focus all year is, preparing guys for March, and he's got to have that, relaxed mindset, just going in there and doing what he does best, and executing. He was another one that got injured last year. He's going for a major in a dual meet and basically has the major and hurts his hamstring, and it definitely affected him. And he couldn't wrestle the last month and goes into Big 12s. We had to pull him out after a match or two. And so that's not an excuse. It's just we got to, if we can get him healthy going into that. I saw that, he beat 2 or 3 guys that placed when he was healthy. So we got to get him to the tournament as a little more healthier than we got him there this past season. So, but then, Keegan, his goal is one thing always, and it's to win the national title. He also has aspirations of doing what his old coach did, Ben Askren, winning the Hodge, and he has an opportunity to do that. And that's kind of his mindset. I don't want to just win it. I want to be the best when I do it. And then Rocky, the same thing. Rocky really wants to have a healthy season where he can compete more and do more. So we'll see. He's progressing and getting better, but he's still a ways off from getting, where he's 100%.
And then, so you talked about Jay Conway, one of the new faces we'll probably see in the lineup. I know there's a couple other spots. Are there any that who should fans look out for, I'll say, for new faces in the lineup?
Well, Jay's worked really hard. When I look at guys that really committed, and our whole team commits, but a guy that really focused on what he needs to work on. He was at every practice we would have, but then he's in there doing individual drills, but then he was doing individual things for his weaknesses, which was being able to battle in that 5th, 6th, 7th minute of a match, and just putting himself through some serious adversity in these goes. And all throughout the spring and summer, I saw it. And just the strength that he has, the ability that he has, the confidence that he grew from the work he put in, and getting those opportunities to get in the lineup really, I think, helped him because he was there and he wants to get back there. So Jay Conway is going to be a new face that'll be in the lineup. One that people know about but haven't seen consistently is Cam Steed. Cam is really, he's grown into 65. He's a big 65-pounder, and he's going to be very exciting to watch. He's going to pin some people. He's really tough on top. He's got some really, really good attacks. He's just going to be a fun one that's, a sophomore now that's ready to get in that lineup and be the guy and has the potential to be on the podium. There's no doubt about it. So probably those guys right there. Then at heavyweight, it's between Stoner, Gripka, and Nitzel, 3 guys that have been in the room for a few years, 2 for Stoner, but 3 or 4 for the other guys. So Nitzel probably is, the higher ranked guy, has placed and beaten some ranked guys, and has a really, some really good ability like the other 2 do too. But I would give, Nitzel the advantage right now, but we'll see. There's match days and battles coming up. And then of course the Tiger Style invite, we'll get to see how they perform, but those will be the guys at heavyweight.
So I was just working on kind of my lineup preview for Mizzou earlier and went back and watched some film on Jay Conway from his redshirt year to last year, and it felt like he made a really big jump even in that time.
Yeah, I think he's made a bigger jump. And I think the jump that happens from your first year to your second is a good jump. But then you get that next year, it depends on what you're doing. And he's so hungry to be in the lineup that I think he's improved, but I think it's more on the mental side, knowing how to go out there and battle and not give up takedowns, and how to really hold a person down after you score and ride tough and working on turns. He's made little adjustments and everything and improved in it. And so I'm excited just to see the confidence. And the guys talk about it, that, man, he's a hammer. He looks huge too, but he looks it, but he's always close to weight. So it's really cool to see that we got a monster 57, because there's some really talented guys in the Big 12 that he's going to have to go up against, but he's going to be ready for it. Of course, he's wrestling with Cam and O'Toole and guys like that. And obviously Geoffrey. So he's surrounded by some talented guys to work out with.
That's awesome. It got me kind of thinking about Mizzou. I feel like a lot of people recognize you guys as a really excellent development school, especially for some of these wrestlers coming out of high school, not in the top 20, not even in the top 50. How much of that relays to the culture, the Tiger style, one more, things like that?
Well, I think what a culture does is it guides behavior. So Tiger style is a lifestyle. It's not a style of wrestling. It's a lifestyle that, when they're recruited here, we tell them you have to choose to live this, and we teach them about it. We show them how to do it. There's accountability as teammates to hold each other up to standards of what the expectations are. But once they start to live it and do the little things right, whether it's eating clean, whether it's how much sleep you're getting, and those are things I really can't control because I'm not with them, but how they train in the room, the attitude they bring to the room, all those things sound like, yeah, those are small things, but those things really start to add up. And you start to do a lot of little things like that make you a little bit better in everything. You get better, and then you make your teammates better, and everybody can lift each other up that way. So I think that's what happens. Jay's surrounded by, like, I talk to the guys constantly about who are you surrounding yourself with, and if you surround yourself with high level people, you're going to eventually get to that level because you're going to be influenced by it. You're going to be doing what they're doing. You're going to be following them, training with them, living with them. And it's the same thing if you choose the other way. But I know Jay has chosen to hang around and work out and train with the best guys and learn from them. And so the expression I use, who do you have in your foxhole? Who do you want in there with you? Who's going to battle with you? And so I think our guys are really good about that. And Tiger style guides it. So they have the right behavior. They do it the right way. They think it the right way. They speak it the right way. And they live it the right way. And it brings about success.
Another young guy I wanted to talk about, Cade Moore. I talked to him this offseason, and he kind of talked a lot about what you were talking about, just making those little changes and things like that. Last time we saw him when he was healthy, he pinned Sam Latona, had a barn burner match with Vito Arujau. After kind of a weird season for him, what are you seeing from him this offseason?
Just he had a great off season. Just was here every day and lifting every day. All through the summer, the spring, the summer, and the fall, he's had an outstanding. Just being here, and not just being here, but mentally here and wanting to get better. We had a meeting yesterday where he was raising his hand and talking and giving some, some advice to the younger guys or to everybody really on what he's thinking. And just to have him conversing, he used to just sit there and look at these meetings and just be in La La Land or, Cade World. But now he's a part of the team. And that was something he said in his individual meeting with me. And I don't think if he would care if I share it, that he wants to be more a part of the team. And I said that, a relationship is a two-way road, two-way street here. You have to, put yourself out there, and you got to, hang around the guys more and do more with the guys. And he is living in the apartments with the guys and by all the guys. So that's helped. They brought him in here for extra drills. I know some of the guys have went out of their way to do that with him, but he's also now made the effort to be more a part of the team. And you see that he is now bought in more. And so I'm excited for him. He's a talented kid that can, he can go so far as he wants to go because the talent he has. So we're excited. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. And then kind of last two guys I want to really focus on, Josh Edmond and Colton Hawks, two juniors who talk about those really tough blood round matches were right there, really great seasons. What after as ending like that, what's the off season for him, or what are you guys talking about?
They would just making more strides. Josh, we know, can get to doubles, but he started to evolve with a single. He's got to use it more. He's got to get more movement. He can't just sit outside. And so he's been closing the gap and working from a tighter, from hand fighting, from posting, from creating angles. When he is moving like that and level changing and creating angles, he's really hard to stop on his feet. And it's no secret. We're on him all the time about it. You got to be able to keep a guy down. And he had moments of it last year in the Illinois duel. He scored a couple sets of back points, changed it and got riding time. When he starts to do that more consistently, it isn't always about being on your feet. And that's the great thing of folk style wrestling. When you improve at top, you can change the match because you get a takedown, you ride a guy, that's 3 points, a riding time points, 4 points, you're holding them down. it really, really, and he wear out on an opponent, and he knows he needs to improve there. He's worked on it. And I think with Colton, he really evolved on his feet and got better. He didn't score in that All-American round, and that was frustrating. Got ridden, which he shouldn't be. So I know that's something he's put a lot of time in, that can't get ridden anymore. He's really worked on movement on bottom and clearing his hips out, not sitting down there, because that's frustrating to get beat by riding time in an All-American round when you know you have the ability and you know the techniques. It just didn't happen. So he's got to make it happen. But you got to score takedowns. His athletic ability, he was attacking, but he didn't give himself in the first period, that when he gets ridden like that, he didn't give himself an opportunity to score a takedown because he gave up all that riding time. So he's got to learn from that, move forward, and make it where it makes him get better. Grow from it instead of saying, man, I was right there. And no, I got to be there now. Now I'm going to be there. I'm winning those matches, those tight matches.
So adding to the team this year, I believe number 7 overall recruiting class for 2024 coming in, guys like Aiden Sinclair, Jace Roller, Mac Mauger, guys like that. How's it been getting them in the room and seeing them training with the rest of the team?
Really exciting. The talent, you mentioned those 3. Gage Walker's doing a really good job. I mean, just it's a lot of talent that came in that they're taking some lumps, but they're a really bright group of young men. Not only, the classroom, they're blowing it away right now, and I expect it to continue, but just the amount of individual drills they're doing and the amount that they stay after and work on things. It's exciting just to see that they have, I knew when we were recruiting them, they had that growth mentality, but then when you get them in the room and they're sticking around and working on things, I think Aiden has about 1,000 questions asked already. So it's sometimes it gets me close to like, but I love that he wants to know every detail of why are we doing it, or why are you doing it that way, and why wouldn't you do this, and always thinking, and he's tough as nails. I mean, he is working to get better and better. Went out to the trials, didn't have his best, but had some good moments, but it wasn't his best yet. And he's back here, and I held him out of the room for 2 days. I wouldn't let him wrestle, but he showed up with his shoes up. I said no, and he helped coach. So, but it was killing him to stay off the mat. He just loves to be in the wrestling room. And then you add in Mac and Gage, the lightweights there, and Jace. There's some Logan Cole. There's a lot of really good kids in that class that are working hard. So it just makes it fun when you bring in a really good group of kids that live Tiger style, love it that they're coming in and get to do it. And it adds some energy to the room.
I saw Aiden Sinclair had his head shaved at trials.
Yeah, that's Aiden. A little changed look. I guess it was his game look or something, his match look. But yeah, I like the spike little redhead look.
I know, it felt like it kind of stuck out. I was surprised to see it gone.
He wanted to shave it. That's Aiden. He's going to do what he wants to do.
So the next thing I want to talk about, and we can kind of segue into talking about the schedule overall, but you talk about balancing health with a lot of these guys, especially some of the older guys that have had injury issues before. When or how, when you have a recruiting class like this too, do you decide to maybe throw a freshman in there to give them an opportunity and maybe rest your guy?
Well, I mean, I want our guys to wrestle when they're healthy. So I want that to be the mentality. If you can wrestle every match, like Zach Elam did last year, he wrestled everything, plus wrestled an extra tournament, and probably had one of the most consistent seasons of everybody. So when everybody, I think the society looks at, oh, you probably need rest. No, these are young kids that if they're healthy, they should wrestle, and you should want to wrestle, because when you compete, that's where you see where you're at, and that's what you're training for every day, that you should have this energy to want to get out there and compete, and the great ones do that. So that's the mentality. We got to get matches in this year. If they are banged up and it's going to not help that they're going out there and making weight and they're injured and they're trying to battle through tough matches, then we'll hold them out. But most of the time they're going to be wrestling. We have a lesser February. If you look at our February, there's really only 3 matches in that. There are 3 tough matches, but there's 3 matches in that month. have a couple tournaments in there with the Tiger Style invite, and we still have a date that we could use to go to an open, but I'll throw some freshmen in the Tiger Style invite and the SIUE Cougar Clash. But just that you get 5 dates with them, I'll try and use them. If there is an opportunity to wrestle in a duel, I will. We'll see. With Rocky healing up right now, we may wrestle Aiden early just to see how he's doing. So that's still a month away, but it's coming up. We have Northern Colorado in about 5 weeks, so it's going to be here before we know it.
Looking at the schedule, Tiger Style invite going into third year now. How's that been running an open? I know it's not necessarily a huge tournament, but getting some early season tough competition.
Yeah, I mean it's an invite, so we only invite 5 other schools, so there's 6 schools. But I think the fans really appreciate it because it starts at a time and it's pretty much going to end, and it's not going to go all night like the opens do, and they let too many kids in. Guys are going to wrestle 3 or 4 matches at the most, and that's it. And so it keeps injuries down. I just think it's definitely fan friendly. It's a quicker tournament, but the competition's good. When you look at a school like Cal Poly, they always have some talented kids. And then Arkansas Little Rock, they had a great national tournament, and they have 3 or 4 or 5 individuals in their team that are just really a couple that are going to challenge. One was an All-American, and so they'll be back. But I think this year Maryland's coming back again with I'm sure the Miller brothers and all the that crew. And then you have I think Purdue's coming in, so Purdue will be there. So there'll be some tough matchups when you look at it. So even though it's small, it's going to be tough. Plus, you'll get to see how our young guys and some of those weights that we're still not sure who's going to be the guy. We'll get to see some of those guys that I'm always looking for these tournaments for somebody to step up and surprise us. So that would be fun to see, that we have some good competition, some young guys battling for a spot. Because, even though Logan Geoffrey's at 49, you got a guy coming off of an injury like a Nate Pulliam, who was having a good year last year until he got hurt. So there's guys like that. You've got Carter McAllister, guys that have been in the room a year now that is battling, and I think he's dropping down to 141. So we're going to see how he does. Easton Hilton dropping down to 141. So there's going to be some good battles to see who's going to be in some of these spots, or at least get the opportunity. If a starter is banged up or sick, they're going to get that chance, and we're going to have some talented guys ready to step in and make their mark.
Another date that stuck out to me on here is Collegiate Duals. I know we've seen some graphics with the teams on there, Penn State being the big one. Any sort of preview for what that may look like?
Yeah, we'll wrestle. From what I've heard, we'll wrestle Binghamton, I forget the other school, I should know it, and then Penn State. So it'll be a good little thing out in Nashville. It's in Nashville, so it'll be fun, a good destination place for fans. 3 dual meets that will wrestle in 2 days, so it'll be probably 2 the first day and 1 the second day. So not sitting in a gym all day, fans can go enjoy some wrestling, but also enjoy Nashville, which I think is good for our sport, that fans get to travel, but to a place that's not, not the some of the cities that we have some of these events in that aren't as entertaining, as I'll put it.
Right.
Nashville seems to be a destination place now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's kind of the big things I wanted to touch on, like just looking up for this upcoming season. Is there anything that you want fans to know, or that we didn't talk about that you want to bring up?
I mean, season tickets have gone on sale for general admission. Matt's side have not gone out to the public because they do the renewals first. And there was only I think 2 or 3 people who didn't renew out of the close to 200 seats. We did open a lower portion of the section, the one section that has the chair backs that have a couple rows in the regular seating that will be sold as mat side, that they'll be considered down below. So those will go on sale, I think, next week. And whatever mat sides are still available, which will be a very limited few amount, but which is nice. We're almost sold out of the mat side. We're selling general admission. I like our home schedule. With when you look at some of the teams coming in, like Stanford has a pretty talented team, and then you add in Arizona State, Iowa State, There's some Cornell. There's some really good teams coming to visit, so it'll be some entertaining. One of the reason we don't have a home duel first semester, we did, but we are wrestling our home duel with Northern Iowa at Arrowhead High School, which is in Wisconsin. So we are that's I know some people will say, man, they don't have much at home, even though we do have the Tiger Style Invite, which is technically a home event. We would have had that plus a duel, but because I wanted to have a duel for Keegan up there, I think it would be neat. It's already sold out, so there are no tickets available. So I can't help people there. We do have a few that we bought for our parents and things. So if somebody really wants to go, let us know, and we can probably get you some tickets through that group.
I know that's on UFC Fight Pass, like the Illinois duel last year too, which was
Yeah,
awesome.
it'll be really neat. It's going to be a packed little. It's a smaller gym, so it's going to just be jam packed with people everywhere and a great atmosphere. Parker Kakaisen also is an Askren Academy kid, so both teams featuring national champions that have come out of Ben and Max and Josh, all those clubs up there run by the Askren people. So it's exciting for us because I have such a great relationship with those guys that I think we've had 14 or 15 Wisconsin kids attend Missouri since I've been here, and that trend continues as we're getting commitments from some, and so that's fun. That pipeline continues.
One thing you did bring up that I wanted to talk about, I was just talking to a friend the other day, looking at the attendance numbers since coming back to the Big 12, going up about 1,000 every year the past couple of years. I know Mizzou has always scheduled really good duels, but it feels like being back to the Big 12 has kind of added to that. Do you feel that way?
Definitely. I mean, we were over 3,000. We had close to 7 for the Oklahoma. So it's the excitement and just seeing how quick our mat side seats just sold out. People, and a lot of them were asking for more. So they're waiting on more. So the people that had bought 4 or 6 are waiting to get 2 or 4 more. So that's exciting because then, we're really going to push, getting people to buy the general admission and really selling season tickets. So we have, I would love to pre-sale 1,000 tickets and have that. And then when people, adding, but when you look at adding Arizona State to the conference, our conference has definitely stepped up, with us coming in 4 years ago and now Arizona State. You've added a couple top 10 teams to Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Oklahoma, Northern Iowa, all these tough teams that are already there. And I look at what they're doing at West Virginia. They're definitely improving. There's no doubt in my mind that program is on the rise, and Coach Flynn is doing a really good job there. That don't they're coming in to wrestle here. They have some. Their 49 pounder was a beast. I think he's moving up to 57. They have some tough people, and they're getting that PA and West Virginia area, that Pittsburgh area is really tough. They're getting kids to come there, so it's exciting. The teams we have coming in, Cornell was second in the country, so we have some battles, but the Big 12 does bring that with the competition that we have.
And Oklahoma, I know, kind of did the Mizzou thing, leaving the Big 12, but then wrestling sticking around. Are we going to see a little more of SEC rivalry budding? I talked to Roger Kish about it, and he seemed to be, you guys were mulling that over, he mentioned.
Yeah. Eventually we'll have my goal is to get it on the SEC network. I'd love to have the duel on the SEC network. So if not this year, I'm going to have to get on the old commission, say, come on, let's get this. Let's make this happen. The SEC championship duel. Who's the king of the SEC? That would be fun.
That would be great.
That's how you grow things and you give it a title or something like that, and that people will get behind it. I know the wrestling community would turn on their sets if they had the SEC network, which most people do. So
that'd be awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Coach. Thanks for talking to me today. Really pumped. This season feels like it kind of snuck up on me personally. I'm sure you don't necessarily feel that way, but it's really right around the corner.
It's like in the summer you go through this lull. You miss your normal days where you have a routine, and which I always do. But when you have practice, and man, once we started school, it just flew. It's like you're having practice and weights and this, and now all of a sudden I'm looking and I'm saying 5 weeks we have a duel with Northern Colorado, and it's snuck up on us.
Yeah.
So we do have our last. I know you've come over to some of our tailgates before the football team, who's still ranked way up there and undefeated. I think it's the Auburn game, which is homecoming. We'll have another tailgate for fans that want to come out and meet the wrestlers, meet the coaches, and just kind of enjoy some good food. And then if they're going to the game, but stop by it if you're coming into town for homecoming.
Absolutely. We wanted to come to that open practice you guys had, but we were on a honeymoon and not able to come through.
Yeah, I guess that'll trump coming to wrestling practice.
Yeah. This year.
Well, congrats on all that.
Thank you. But yeah, thanks for talking to me, Coach, and
Yep.
good luck the rest of the season.
All right. Thanks, James. Take care.
See ya.